Welcome to the 13th episode of Downtime Podcast. My name is Alyssa, and Jeremy is out for the next 2 weeks. He is on vacation in Japan. So, for this podcast, I have enlisted one of my friends.
Hey, I'm Kevin. Me and Alyssa are old college buddies, and she needed someone that played Persona 5 to come talk with, so...
Yes. So this
pretty much how this came about.
And that's pretty much how this happened. So this episode, I think you're the only person I know who's actually finished Persona 5.
Oh, dang. Okay.
I know. Exactly. So that's what this podcast is about. So this is going to be our second spoiler cast, and it's going to be dedicated to Persona 5. I just finished this yesterday, and then Kevin, you finished it like
I finished it about at least a month ago, sometime in May.
Yeah.
It was like the first thing I played once I got my PS4. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Because I only got my PS4 in like late April, so.
And I'm like fresh off of this game, and this is probably gonna be like the last long game I play for a really long time.
Oh man, my backlog's so full of JRPGs. It's not. Not good.
Oh, it's not good. So, so I played Final Fantasy 15, and that was a good 40 hours. It was actually like probably the shortest Final Fantasy, but still took a while.
Yeah, after playing Persona 5, I went straight into Final Fantasy 15. I kind of wish I did it the opposite order, because it made Final Fantasy 15 not seem as good.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Final Fantasy 15 is not that good. Or not
at least
as
in its
good.
Storytelling, because its storytelling
definitely
was relying on you watching an anime and a movie, and all of its most important events happened off screen.
You know what? That would explain why there's so many plot holes that confused me in this, because I actually did not watch that video or that movie.
Well, I looked up like synopses. It's not even plot holes. It's just background.
Okay.
Like I think Brotherhood just helped you get a better sense of why these guys are friends in the first place. Granted, I never watched it, so I'm not totally sure. And then Kingsglaive was just explaining how the Empire got jumped by how Noctis's father got
killed,
invaded.
Yeah. Okay.
So it just told you that part of the story.
Okay. This is nice to know. So I'm probably going to watch this on July 4th.
Oh.
Just because I don't have anything else to do on that day.
Did you see the survey for Final Fantasy 15?
What do you mean by the survey?
There was like an update in like early May where they asked, like, one of the updates was asking, like, oh, what type of things do you want to see as DLC? I guess what I'm presuming is DLC, and it had it listed some story elements such as like, why Ifrit betrayed the other Espers, I guess, and forgot what they were called.
Yeah,
and like more World of Ruin, more stuff about Arden.
Oh wow!
It's just like, why didn't you include this in the first place?
Exactly. So pretty much everything that would have been in a previous Final Fantasy game, they're asking.
Everything that would have made it more sense. Yeah.
Exactly. Wow.
But
we live in the world of DLC, though.
Yeah, I already put it down and started playing a different game, so like I'm kind of past it now.
Yeah. At this point, we're going to kind of flag spoilers are about to begin. We're going to talk about Persona 5, but an FYI, we may tangent off to Persona 3 and Persona 4 as well. So if you don't want to be spoiled, we're going to talk about 3, 4, and 5. Mm-hmm. And we will start. So a quick summary of the game is the protagonist, your main character, is sent off to Tokyo because he's sent off by his family, kind of like as a disciplinary action. Although he didn't really commit a crime, what happens is he's helping out someone who's about to kind of be assaulted. And by doing that, he attacks this person It
Not
turns
even
out that
attacks.
pushes him.
Just confronts.
But he trips or something. Like, he falls to the ground in some way. I don't even remember.
Yeah, like, I think it was. I think he just faked it. It felt like he just faked it.
That's probably what.
From what I remember, he was drunk. I think that was.
That he definitely was drunk for sure.
Yeah.
The protagonist is trying to help this woman, and the guy who is trying to assault her is a rich, powerful person, which you don't know who he is yet. And because of that, when the cops come, he has this power over the cops and also convinces the woman to kind of put the blame on the protagonist instead and frame him. He's sent off to a guy named Sojiro, I guess, cafe, bar, home.
A curry coffee bar, yeah.
Curry coffee bar. And that's where he's gonna live for the next year. You don't know who Sojiro is yet.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah. In this case, they're not related. Yeah, I totally thought they were related at first, and then.
And then it just all went not in that direction at
Yeah,
all.
it's like suddenly you realize, oh, this guy does not care about him at all. Okay.
I know, right? Protagonist goes to school and he meets a friend, and what happens is when he's on his way to school with this new friend, the school turns into a castle all of a sudden. The both of them don't know why it turns into a castle, and then they go in, and then what they discover is they're in the school area, but the reason they're in a castle is because they're in a sort of projection of the school coaches, an alternate universe of how they feel. And a lot of these people are kind of like bad people. If they go through this palace and find the person's shadow and kind of like what they think of themselves, and they defeat this person, then this person will confess to all the crimes they committed.
I guess in like the palace, the whole palace is centered around like the bad person's desires and corruption, and I guess that manifests itself into some item, some treasure that they have to go and steal.
Yeah.
And then, that's by stealing the treasure, that's what causes, they call it in the game, a change of heart. So without all of those, without that corruption, without that, their corrupted desires, the person has a change of heart and like confesses everything that they've done.
Yes.
And then even on top of that, I'll get more into this later, but if you were to kill the person's shadow, actually that causes the person to basically have what they call a mental shutdown and basically die.
Yes.
So, and that plays more of a part later in the story as well. And I guess also to mention, like during the start of the game, you always hear these news reports of, people suddenly going crazy.
Yes.
The first instance, like this happens early in the game, where like this train conductor suddenly like goes berserk and like just derails and crashes this subway train in somewhere in Shibuya.
Yeah.
So, and then you realize that there's a reason behind that.
Throughout the story, the palaces kind of repeat itself. The main character meets new friends along the way. There's new people who need changes of hearts. So that's what sprouts like the different like storylines and how everything goes down. And one thing to note is a lot of the people that he becomes friends with, conveniently, have been in the same situation as the protagonist, where they were framed or kind of screwed over by something or someone, and they don't, and because of that, they don't really have a lot of friends, or they don't really have a place to belong. And by joining with the protagonist and changing the hearts of criminals, they have a home, and as well as a family with all these new friends they made. And the name of their group is called the Phantom Thieves.
Yep, because they go in and steal people's hearts, which is kind of like how they are stealing the treasures of the people. Right, so we're starting with the Kamoshida?
Yes, we will start with the intro, which is Kamoshida's palace.
I felt like Kamoshida's palace, or Kamoshida's character as a villain, was probably one of the strongest villains out of the entire game, even though it's just the first one. I mean, of course, they started really strong, which is good, and it's also because start out with yourself, and then two of the party members, An and Ryuji. So all three of them have been affected by this one person, by the school coach. And then everyone after that is just that one person that gets added to your squad.
Definitely.
So I think that's part of it. Because I felt like I didn't see a villain to that level until we got to Shido.
With Kamoshida, his storyline kind of freaked me out a bit because they went into a lot of different themes that I just kind of didn't expect they were going to go into.
Yeah, they hit it hard and quick.
Yeah, I know. So almost immediately you find out that Kamoshida is physically abusing the volleyball team. You also find out that Kamoshida is trying to hit it off with one of his students, which is An, and has been trying to sleep with her and all these different things. What ends up happening is he ends up assaulting An's best friend.
Yeah, I mean, to add on top of that, when he was taking advantage of An's best friend, it got to the point where she tried to attempt suicide. Right? I mean, she actually did attempt suicide, and that's so that was one of the craziest scenes that happened in the first few hours.
Oh, definitely. There was no gradual slope getting to to that moment. It just happened.
Yeah, so like, it makes you think like, oh gosh, how do they top this for the rest of the palaces? And to be honest, they don't quite.
It's true. This one was I think a lot of shock value in my opinion.
It sets the tone of the game pretty well.
It does. This is definitely darker than Persona 4.
Still think Persona 3 is the darkest one out of at least the 3, 4, and 5.
Yes.
I've barely touched 1. I started 2 but never finished it, so I'm not sure too much on those. And then Q was just fan service. So, but yeah, 3 was definitely the darkest one. I mean, death was a theme of the game itself. But yeah, this definitely was took a lot darker tone than 4.
When I first started playing Persona 5, the first 10 hours, it actually took a while for me to really get into the game and kind of understand what was going on. For one, the battle system, there were a lot of different levels to it that it was confusing at first when Morgana was introducing this all to you. And it just took a while for me to grasp everything at once and get it. And
okay.
The plot really didn't hit me actually until An's best friend commits suicide, and then finally everything kind of came together for me, and I really understood what the game was all about.
Yeah. It helped that I saw some gameplay videos ahead of time just to try to understand how the baton pass system worked and how the guns worked.
Got it.
Because those were pretty new.
At first, with the whole baton pass and the gunshots, I thought it was really unnecessary before. It just seemed like a random extra thing. But when you really get into it and you start really playing with the battle system, man, those were so useful.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the baton pass especially. I never upgraded my guns though.
I don't think you really needed to.
The only reason I'd ever shoot is to get a knockdown. Like, I would upgrade my weapons, I would upgrade my armor, but I always ignore the guns.
Yeah.
Unless something dropped.
So I upgraded the guns in the final level when I just gave everyone the best weapon.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, so at that point, everyone just had like a nice weapon. With every persona, there's kind of like a mascot character that joins your party. In Persona 5, it's a cat named Morgana. I actually like Morgana more than I did Teddy.
I think a lot of people did.
Yes, and it was just like a much more enjoyable character. Also, God, she really confused me in the beginning. It. But I really enjoyed her. What's really great about Morgana's character is super powerful healing ability. Has the majority of them.
I would always have at least Morgana, An, or Makoto, at least 2 of those. Help keep me topped up, because you just never know when you're going to get walloped.
Okay, speaking of being walloped and owned, I was super unprepared for the palace. But the one thing that really threw me off guard was the calling card.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people had complaints about. I had seen some forums, like GameFAQs and stuff, and yeah, a lot of people were caught off guard by the fact that the calling card took an extra day.
Yeah.
And then had to go back a week. And then go through it again because everything else is explained except that. I mean, I guess in general Persona games you try to get the palace done as soon as you can so you can open up your social links again. But Persona 5 was probably because of all the hype it got. It was probably the first Persona game for a lot of people. I played 3, 4, so I kind of knew what I was getting myself into. But like for someone that was just starting for someone that had just started the series, like that's a pretty big learning curve. Did you play on normal difficulty too?
I played on normal difficulty. I almost missed the calling card because I got it on the 3rd day before expulsion, just because I was actually doing a lot of farming, just to get the gist of the game, and I was really trying to get used to it. And then when I go into the palace, assuming that I'm about to steal the treasure and defeat this boss, there was this whole concept of the calling card, and I was like, wait, what the hell is the calling card? The calling card is what activates what the real treasure is, because now the owner of the palace
threatened him in order to fish out because before the calling card, the treasure itself is like this weird cloud. So when you send the calling card to threaten him,
yes,
that cloud becomes the actual item itself, and you can't steal it before that happens. And gameplay wise, it means it takes an extra day. So a lot of people were caught off guard and got a game over because they waited until the last possible day and then realized they got screwed.
And I've gotten a few game overs just from losing a battle or whatever. The game over just feels more depressing this time around.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen the endings when you get the game over by missing the day?
No, I've actually never missed the day.
Oh yeah, because if you take a look, they're relatively short, but like some of them get pretty dark. The traitor will shoot the main character, just kind of very similar to the bad ending.
Oh, I see. Got it. Damn. Yeah.
But they also tell you what happened as a result of you missing the day.
I see.
What I did like about this game though was boss fights. It would let you retry as long as it was an actual boss fight, not just a hard shadow.
Yeah. See, I was like, what I suffered through a lot in this game was I had hard shadows that I didn't defeat. They killed me, and I had to go back to the save point.
Yeah, that's what takes you back.
Ugh, and then that was annoying.
The only time not to brag, but the only time I got a game over was during the 3rd boss fight, and it's just because I got this. I had the timing of his attack wrong, and so I just figured it was easier rather than me burn a bunch of items to try to revive everybody. I just let's just retry this. Just go and kill me now.
Oh,
I just pressed the rush button and just let him wipe me out, and then I went and retried it.
Okay, yeah, because sometimes you just don't know what the method is until you go through it, and you're like, all right, I gotta redo this.
Exactly. Normally, especially in Persona games, like the first dungeon's always the hardest just because you don't have all your skills yet. Like the more people you get, the more basically once you get the AoE spells, that's really when the difficulty starts to tone down.
There's one more thing that we forgot to talk about with Palace 1. So the way that Persona 5 starts, the protagonist is actually in the middle of stealing the heart of something that you don't know yet.
Yeah, so basically this whole game is in media res. You're actually starting in the middle of the game, and flashback.
Obviously, when we get to that palace in that chapter, the intro makes sense. So one of the biggest things about Persona 5 is the introduction of a kind of high school detective named Akechi. And during the live newscast, he's talking about the Phantom Thieves after this whole Kamoshida thing happens, and they ask him what they think about it. And Akechi pretty much denounces them, does not like the Phantom Thieves at all, says that they're not doing any justice.
Yeah, the game makes him not well liked. Or at least by your group, at least. It's supposed to be kind of like this playboy type.
Yeah. So your thoughts on Palace number 2?
I didn't really like Yusuke's character much. He seemed kind of just out
weird.
there.
Oh yeah, he was out there and he was weird and had no filter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, and that was basically his character. Like, he was very blunt, was always spending all his money. and he was an artist.
Like a tortured artist, literally a tortured artist.
Oh yeah.
And it was just weird because the first time you meet his character, he wants to do a nude picture of An. It's just so. I also like how there's just a running theme that everyone in your group thinks that An is hot.
Well, she is the model. She's that token.
She's the token. Yeah, she is.
Every JRPG has to have that one, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like I said, I think I was getting at before, like the villains of all the other palaces just weren't as strong. Except the only one that made Madarame seem really bad was the fact that he doesn't help save Yusuke's mom. Like he just basically just watches her seizure till death. That was what made it messed up.
Although I didn't really like Yusuke, I liked the storyline between him and his mom. And
Yeah, the with the painting and all that too.
Sayuri.
Yeah.
I legit, I was, tearing up when you find out what Sayuri it really is and how Sayuri, what was blocked by the cherry blossoms, done by Madarame it's actually Yusuke when he was an infant. That was, one of the few times that I really felt bad for Yusuke as well. It was really hard to like Yusuke. With his personality and it just throughout the game.
Yeah, it got to the point where I didn't even like using him as a character. Like I barely used him.
I liked using Yusuke as a character because I thought he was really when it comes to physical attacks, Yusuke was really good actually. But then
right, yeah.
But then if
I
you
used to stick with Ryuji for some reason.
what I was about to say was if you upgraded Ryuji confidant and got everything, then you didn't really need Yusuke.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like I maxed Ryuji's confidant fairly early, and that's why I would like to use him more often because when once you get him to 9, then he can block the insta kill attacks for you. So
I know, right?
He became more useful.
Yeah.
In the Pyramid Palace just because of that alone.
I maxed him out too early, and on just like a general rule of thumb, the order that you get your members, you should max them out.
Granted, this game did a good job of making every confidant important.
Oh, I know. That's what made actually the game a little bit difficult for me to manage. It was the fact that I was really trying to get all these different confidants for the freaking fortune teller or the girl who plays checkers or
and both of those were really good.
Yeah, I didn't max out everyone. So if I didn't max them out, they were at least level 7.
Yeah, you get most of what you wanted. Yeah, I was able to max them out, but I kind of used a guide to at least let me know what answers to choose. That way I wouldn't have to save scum over and over. Just save me time that way. And then, but also just to know what I needed for each confidant. Did I need enough? Did I need max charm? Did I need and how to get them in the first place? Because some of them were kind of obscure to get.
Yeah, exactly.
The politician persona was pretty obscure if you didn't know how to get him.
Oh yeah, you had to work at the beef shop at least 3 times to get him.
Yeah, I rarely did that. If it wasn't for that, I would never have even done the beef bowl job at all.
Exactly. There's the one where with the fortune teller, you have to visit her 3 times. You have to purchase 100.
Yeah, you had to buy that thing.
Yeah, you had to buy
That's the hardest part, probably.
Yeah, and actually, early on, it took a dent to my money.
It's a big purchase it's a big purchase if you didn't have the politician persona done too.
Exactly, and then with a lot of the confidants, not just to meet them, but to proceed to their storyline, you actually have to go into the mementos to continue it. Although we didn't talk about the mementos yet. If you want to briefly touch on it,
it's basically the random dungeon generator is for Persona 5.
Yeah.
It's where all the side quests are. But what was good is if you planned it out to where you could complete multiple side quests at once, you could just do a whole dozen of them at once in one swoop. So that way you weren't going in, just for one side quest.
That's exactly what I did. So I would wait till I had 6 or 7.
Yeah, exactly. Same here.
Yeah.
I would basically go once per month.
Yeah, same here. Once during my countdown, I went.
So what did you think of mementos in general?
I thought that mementos were a good way to kind of do, for example, side quests. like help with fusion when I was trying to make personas and trying to level up.
Oh yeah.
The reason why mementos weren't my favorite is what you were saying, actually. It's basically a dungeon generator. It kind of just goes on and on. It's a good filler, in my opinion.
Yeah. I wish the music wasn't like a 5-second loop though. But
Oh my
yeah.
god! Yeah, that music just stayed the same all the time.
The game has a really good soundtrack in general. Like pretty much every other track was really good.
An excellent soundtrack. I love the soundtrack a lot.
Yeah. But it's just that one for all the of all the places, it's the most repetitive. The most repetitive place got the most repetitive soundtrack. And
Which I guess
yeah.
which I guess makes sense stylistically, but it does get boring when you're just
Yeah, that's more like a
Yeah.
negative feedback type loop.
Yeah, it is. There came
But, yeah.
there came a point where during whenever I went inside the mementos, like I just actually put the volume down or I listened to something else because I was just like, this
Yeah.
is boring.
Although I did like the random banter they would have.
Oh.
So like sometimes I would like sit in front of a door while waiting for them to stop talking so I could. Because if you were to open up a door or get into a battle, you would interrupt their conversation basically.
I know. I love the random banter and how it builds up as you add more characters too, because then more
Mhm.
characters talk to each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Makoto's an interesting character because throughout the game, after Kamoshida's palace, she's the school president. The principal is kind of going to her, asking her to figure out who the Phantom Thieves are. As she's helping the principal, she realizes all the corruption that trying to hide a lot of things that are happening with the students. And obviously, she's a president. Who cares?
I liked her a lot better than Yusuke. She definitely has a quite a bit more character development than.
I like Makoto's storyline a lot. This is where the intro scene starts coming together. The person who's interrogating you is actually Makoto's sister, Sei. And
Yeah, that was a nice twist.
yeah, I really like that a lot. And Sei, Sei's just like a regular cop or, just a regular prosecutor trying to do her job and figure out like what the hell the Phantom Thieves are and trying to solve all these crimes. You see how that takes a toll on her relationship with her sister.
It's definitely like the younger sister syndrome type of.
Oh, definitely.
So that's what made her character really strong.
Yeah. Oh, and then of course their dad's dead because, you just need that for a JRPG.
Was their mom?
I don't think so. To be
Well, either
yeah.
regardless, it was just the two of them living alone together.
Yes, correct.
And yeah, so like eventually, as the older sister got more and more obsessed with the case,
Yeah,
she started, shutting out her little sister more.
exactly. What I thought was pretty interesting was when Makoto actually confronts them, like knowing well that they're the Phantom Thieves, and she actually asks them to do a job for her. Although it seemed like she kind of with Kaneshiro, she kind of just pulled it out of her ass. It almost seemed like I don't think she really had
She goes in head first, and that's what kind of spurs the whole
exactly.
the whole problem.
Yeah,
The whole
exactly.
conflict for that
Oh, I know.
house.
Yeah. What was it
'Cause
again?
they all get blackmailed.
Yeah, they all she gets kidnapped-ish in a limo.
She becomes live bait, and the party follows her, and then the mafia boss basically takes a picture.
Yeah, exactly.
He basically blackmails them,
I know.
forcing them to change his heart before he releases the pictures.
Okay, just an FYI for the viewers. In my neighborhood, people are setting off fireworks now. So
Oh,
if you hear
getting it done early.
getting it done, if you hear it, happy July 4th.
Except it's July 2nd.
I know. So, yay. In terms of Palace 3, I think it was fun how they got themselves into the situation, but Kaneshiro was not actually related to any of the characters in a way, and because of that, I didn't really connect to that palace.
Although he was affecting people in general.
Oh, yeah.
right?
So he was affecting people at the school because he was using people at the school as pawns for his drug dealing.
Yeah,
And-
it is. Yeah, because this was the one where people were the walking ATMs, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice touch.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see, like, that's how that's how the metaverse works. You know,
Yeah,
regular people can just be seen as walking ATMs because he sees them as like walking deposits and withdrawals.
exactly. The creativity of the different palaces was very fun.
Like I think my girlfriend was watching while I was playing through that palace, and it was just like, what's going on? Yeah, explaining the different Persona games there has been very interesting.
Oh,
But,
explaining to Persona to someone who has not played Persona is really fun.
like, oh yeah, they just go inside the TV.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the other thing with Palace 3 is that it was actually pretty long. Like it was long, and like I felt like the save points were sparsed out.
They were cuz this was the one where you had to figure out the different combinations for the
Hmm.
locks,
Yeah,
and it was just such a long process trying to get the code.
yeah. That whole last stretch, I thought it was almost done, but I wasn't.
It was kind of like, yeah, there was four altogether, and yeah, it took a while. It got a little boring.
Yeah, it's hard because like for me, I did every except for um Kamoshida's palace.
Mhm.
I did every palace in a single sitting, or not sitting, single day.
Yeah. I'm sorry. In real life or in the game?
No, not in real life. Um, I mean like in one in-game day.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. That's exactly what I tried to do too. I always tried to secure the route in one game. There were the times where you actually had to leave though, like leave
Oh
the
yeah, of course, yeah.
metaverse. But yeah, I did do kind of Shiro in one play, but that just took a while. Like I was actually questioning whether I should go out or not just cuz I was using so much SP and it was getting annoying. Our gang decides to go on vacation to, well, not decides to go on vacation to Hawaii, but in every JRPG there's something really random that happens. And this time around you're going on vacation or like a school trip to Hawaii. Which by the way, they only went to Hawaii for 3 days.
Yeah, and what's funny too is this school isn't necessarily like prestigious, is it?
I don't think so. I mean,
Yeah, it's like how did they get to Hawaii?
Oh, I know, right? Like all the teachers hate themselves. Like, see, it's not it's not a prestigious school, but it doesn't seem like it's a bad school either, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's still like a preppy school, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know.
Also, like, can we talk about how Yusuke was also on that trip because he missed a flight to Los Angeles and it went to Hawaii? Like,
He didn't miss the flight. It had to do with because that whole school actually wound up going
yeah,
to Hawaii. I forgot the reason.
I know. I love
It felt like it was like bad weather or something, and
Yeah.
they just wound up in Hawaii
what I love about
just
it.
because
Oh yeah.
video game logic.
Because video game logic. I love how it's the most obscure reason how they ended up in Hawaii. Like they
I
could,
love how he just shows up.
yeah.
He just walks up, and they're like, "Why are you here?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it's how I feel about Yusuke half the time. Like, why are you here? So this trip brings a lot of like interesting things. So one, there's a character named Mishima who ends up becoming your roommate. And so Mishima is introduced in the first palace as this kid whose parents kind of forced him to join the volleyball team. And he's one of the people who's also abused. And then what ends up happening is he figures out who the Phantom Thieves are, and because the Phantom Thieves kind of, I guess, saved his life, he becomes a fanatic of them.
Like he creates a fan site.
He creates
and
a fan site.
That's the vehicle for all your side quests.
Fan site spelled PHAN. He becomes your roommate and is just involved in a bunch of like random freaking adventures in Hawaii. And then back home in Japan, this is where Morgana starts having an existential crisis.
Oh yeah, this part of the game was like, okay, keep going.
Oh, yeah. So at this point of the game, Morgana is kind of questioning. Well, throughout the game, Morgana always questions whether it will become a human at some point, which is fair. But then it starts having starts really questioning, am I important to the team? What's my meaning?
Yeah, that whole part of the game after the school trip, like, I don't know. It seemed like that was probably like the lowest point of the plot for me.
Yeah. The fourth palace is actually what I would consider the turning point. Like, there's a lot of turning points of the game, of course, but one of the most significant turning points, because the fourth palace starts to explain the significance of Sojiro.
I did like the fact that how Futaba actually asked you to steal her heart herself.
Oh yeah.
It's a nice twist on it.
Yeah, I like how it's different because she's not actually an enemy or did anything wrong, but she recognizes that she's in a slump and she thinks this is a way to get her out of it.
She thinks it's her fault that her mother had died, and so she places all the blame on herself to the point where it's kind of crippled her.
Yeah.
And she becomes a recluse in her own room.
Yeah.
So that's why she asks the Venom Thieves to steal that part away from her, so she doesn't feel that resentment towards herself anymore.
Do you remember when Sei is interviewing Sojiro at the cafe? It prompts like Morgana talking to the protagonist. It's like, what do you think they're talking about? And there's a bunch of choices, and like one of the choices is Futaba is Sojiro's daughter or something like that.
I don't remember.
So like that part happened, and I basically chose every single choice except for that.
Yeah, that was an interesting twist. It was good because it added a lot of depth to Sojiro's character, which at that point was really needed because right now he was just being an asshole.
Exactly, he was being an asshole. You really had no idea what he was doing. It's different from Persona 4 because in Persona 4 it's your uncle, and of course like your uncle's there for you, and also in Persona
Nanako.
Yeah. Wait, Nanako?
Be Madame Nanako.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the daughter.
Yeah. Oh my god, you see, I love them. But yeah, and just the fact that in Persona 4 he was also a detective, so he was relevant. And then so like you don't know Sojiro's relevance until the middle of the story. The last boyfriend or like last person dating Futaba's mom. And Futaba's mom was doing research about the metaverse. So she actually knew about the metaverse, and both of them worked for the government researching on all these different things. And then her mom dies. And at this point, you think that she committed suicide.
The boss itself was really creepy. Really creepy.
Oh, I know.
It's like squeaking at her daughter. Just playing this at night. I would play at night and just like,
But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this palace a lot. I also liked how it was a pyramid. It was just fun, I think.
And then also it kind of steeped up the difficulty a bit too.
Yeah.
This is where like it introduced I think you would see a lot more shadow enemies that didn't have weaknesses.
Yeah. Oh.
So that you couldn't knock them up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of them.
And also.
Oh, go for it.
Enemies that could insta kill you.
Yeah. Oh my god, I know.
It was a big difficulty jump if you weren't prepared.
So one of the personas that I kept was Isis. It nulls curse power and nulls light or holy power. I mean.
Futaba isn't actually a playable character. She becomes the new navigator, the new person that tells you all the weaknesses of the characters, which was previously done by Morgana.
Yeah.
And because of this, and Futaba does it better in every sense.
Mm-hmm.
So Morgana, who's already been having an existential crisis, now feels even more useless, and eventually runs away.
Yeah.
I think the cat gets into an argument with Ryuji, and then she just runs away.
Which, by the way, even though Morgana is having an existential crisis, Ryuji was not helping at all.
I mean, yeah, I can understand why Morgana was upset, but I just think it was all over. I think it was kind of overdone. It made me not like Morgana's character for a bit.
Yeah. I think,
it was too whiny.
Yeah, too whiny, and the way that they tried to resolve it was a little annoying. I think it also partly had to do with the fact that I didn't like Palace 5 that much either. What I didn't like about Palace 5 was one, Morgana, two, what's her name? Haru? Yeah. So the way that they introduce Haru is just kind of like, it felt like a stumble upon.
It was rushed.
Yeah, it was very rushed, because what I like, with each Palace introduction and each character introduction is you really know who they are, insight to how they feel, they don't belong. While this one is just kind of like, oh, we just stumbled upon this woman. Oh, she's gonna join your party now. Oh yeah, her dad's bad. So
yeah, the issue with Haru, I think, is just that she just comes in too late.
Yeah, she does. Which I don't necessarily mind that she came in too late. I just wish that we didn't discover her the way that it happened.
Persona 4 did it in such a way, because the last character that came in was Naoto, right?
Yes.
So at least with Naoto, you were being introduced to her prior to her actual dungeon.
Yes.
Because she would be, kind of investigating once in a while.
Correct.
Kind of like how Makoto was doing prior to her introduction.
Yeah, exactly.
But in this case, she just barrels into the story.
Yeah.
And you're just not given the same amount of time.
Yeah, you're not given the same amount of time, and I just didn't connect with her. She was actually one of the members whose confidants I didn't even
Oh. This was really early in production, but the star confidant, the one that played checkers, there was plans for her to be a playable character.
Really?
But the game would have been too long.
Oh.
That idea was cut. So maybe if Persona 5 Golden were to ever come out, maybe they figure that out. I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to see if they could.
Oh, definitely.
Get her back in.
Oh god, I would love a Persona 5 Golden. We'll talk about that at the end, if that happens. Yeah. I straight up did not really connect with Haru, and at that point, I had psychic power from a Persona, so I didn't even really use her character.
Yeah. She was good for vegetables.
She was. She was good at gardening.
That was pretty much it.
Yeah, pretty much. What ends up happening is, as your team walks off the palace, a shadow comes out. And a shadow that you don't know who it is yet shoots Okumura's shadow. And when the gang is at freaking the Disneyland equivalent theme park, I don't even remember where they are, but they were basically at a Disneyland.
Destinyland or something?
Destinyland. Oh my god. Yeah, you're right, actually. It's freaking Destinyland. So when they're there, they find out that Okumura had a mental shutdown and dies. In fact, I think it actually happens on TV. That's how they find out, right? Yeah.
Yes. The game's plot really switches. Because before then, it was just kind of shitty adult of the month. But from here on out, the plot really goes into overdrive and everything. And that's where the real overarching plot begins.
Yeah. At this point, from this point on, you're finished adding characters to your team to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're really focused on the storyline. When I was talking to Kevin about this game, when I mentioned stuff, Kevin would always say, talk to me after you finish Palace 6.
Yeah, because to be honest, everything up to now has been kind of it's been, there's some discussion, but the real meat of Persona's story actually comes now.
After Okumura dies, the whole gang is really shook. Just doesn't really know what to do. And they
think it's their fault too.
Yeah, exactly. They think that something went wrong in the plan. And on the fan site, it's actually when the fan site starts questioning the Phantom Thieves for the first time. Did they do this? What's going on? On top of that, the principal also dies too. Throughout the game, the protagonist and Akechi are kind of, they don't really like each other, but they acknowledge the other. After Okumura's death, this is the first time that Akechi really talks to the protagonist and the Phantom Thieves.
Ever since the start of the story, he's been always against the Phantom Thieves.
Yes.
And And then after Okamura dies during an interview with Akechi, he actually gives the possibility of maybe it might not be the Phantom Thieves that's done this. Maybe it's something else that we're not paying attention to.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. Akechi...
So he kind of throws the Phantom Thieves a bone, I guess. Yeah, and eventually they have their school festival, which is kind of more filler.
Yeah, typical.
Until the end.
Yeah.
We can just kind of skip that. And then, until the end when basically Akechi comes out and says, I know who you guys are. I know you guys are the Phantom Thieves.
Yes.
I want to join you.
Exactly. And, obviously the team's like, okay, Akechi wants to join our team. What the fuck? This, why does this guy suddenly want to join our team? And the thing is, Akechi knows, and the problem is, not only does Akechi know that they're the Phantom Thieves, he's been in the metaverse before. And he's like well versed in it as well. And he gives a plan that Sei, Makoto's sister, is trying to bring justice and trying to like figure out who the real culprit is and all these different things. What he suggests is you should actually infiltrate her palace in a way she's not obsessed with corruption, but she's stuck in the corruption. And because of that, she might do something like lie to get a conviction or like all these different things, which would hurt the Phantom Thieves. So the next palace is actually going inside of Sei's. Sei's palace is a casino, and it is indeed the same casino from the beginning of the game.
So, like, the moment you walk in, you know that by the end of this palace, something big is gonna happen. Yeah, you literally play the same exact sequence that you played in the first 5 minutes. So what do you think of the palace itself before we go into everything that happens after?
So I actually quite enjoyed this palace a lot. For one, when you first go into Sei's palace, you're of course surprised that it's a casino. And you realize that it's because she thinks that justice is a gamble. Everything's kind of like by luck or like corruption. Basically, what the palace implies is to win, you have to cheat. I enjoyed the symbolism with her palace, as well as it was very different. What I liked is you didn't necessarily have to battle a lot in this palace.
Yeah. I thought the boss fight was the most interesting part.
Oh my...
Like, how long did it take you to figure out how she was cheating?
It took me the first try that she was cheating, but I feel like it was luck as well. Like, I got it on an accident, because when you're given the choice, I feel like I just kind of chose, there's glass.
Yeah, like, I didn't know. I couldn't tell for like a good 3 cycles.
Yeah, no, I really, like, it was...
Until I realized that, oh, something just reflected. Alright, so we can probably get onto the twist.
Alright.
So basically at the end of the palace, once you beat the boss, you basically go into the intro cutscenes where you are trying to escape the palace and get caught by police.
Yes.
And it takes you back to the beginning. Except now, during the interrogation beforehand, you had been drugged. So, for plot's sake, important scenes have been, I guess, skipped and distorted.
Yes. Now,
you remember everything. And then you convince Sai to... Oh, first you remember... because during the intro, you also learned that someone had betrayed you. And so now at this point, now that all the drug has worn off, you remember all the scenes and you remember who the betrayer is.
Yes. And just to real quick before you finish it, all the dialogue choices are important like throughout the game, but this is one of the first like significant areas that really determine the type of ending you get.
Yeah. If you snitch on your Phantom Thieves, that's the bad ending.
Yeah.
And nothing else actually affects the bad ending other than that choice. That's the only thing that triggers the bad ending.
Yes.
So as long as you don't snitch, the story gets to keep going, and then you basically play the biggest ruse that's still a little hard to understand after, well, The game basically tricks you into thinking you screwed up.
Which, by the way, I told you already. I thought that I royally screwed up, and I thought I chose the bad ending, and yeah, I legit cried because I thought the game was over.
Yeah, I was playing this point at I think it was like around midnight.
No, no.
So it was like I wound up staying late just to find out what the hell was going on.
Oh, I know, right? In short, before we go on to like what actually happens, so Sei is investigating you, and you're trying to figure out who the actual thing is, and the actual traitor is, and the only thing you remember is that you need to say to give the phone to someone, and because you don't exactly remember, or like obviously, I think he does remember who it is, but like for like plot's sake and because he's trying to trick you, he makes it act like he doesn't know what's going on. But what he does know is you have like Sei has to give the phone to someone, to the traitor, and at this point you're like, who's the traitor? Like, because he straight up doesn't like give any name. And then Sei walks out. Long behold, outside is Akechi, and that's who Sei gives the phone to. And when Sei gives the phone, Akechi gives the phone to Akechi. Akechi walks in to the interrogation room, and that's when it's revealed that he's the traitor.
And then he shoots the main character.
Yes, and he shoots the main character.
Because the cutscenes keep going after this scene. It looks like the Phantom Thieves break up for a little bit, and they all go off and do their own thing.
Yeah.
But then you realize, Yuji smirks, and then you realize there's more to this than you think.
I know. Like, so with the whole when I thought this was a bad ending, I thought this was like a cutscene, like that just ends, that will end like the entire game. And especially because in Tokyo, they announce live on the news that the leader of the Phantom Thieves is dead. And I like legit, I was like freaking out. I think I actually did finish this at 12 o'clock too, by the way. And yeah, it was just like sad times all around until like Ryuji, that goddamn guy, when the scene ends, he gives the smirk you're talking about. And
got him.
Yeah, it's like, got him. And I'm like, what the hell's going on right now? And then you find out it's like the entire thing is a ruse.
So basically, when Sai showed Akechi the phone, it somehow triggered a metaverse. Because they never stole Sei's treasure. They never actually stole Sei's heart. The palace was still active.
Yes.
Somehow they did their research and learned that the police department was the same in the metaverse and the real world.
Yes. And I think like what they were also addressing is that in general, Sei's metaverse is a lot like the real world. That's why it was really that's why they had to use hers, because it was like what she felt about society in a lot of places. It was exactly the same.
So the scene of Akechi shooting the Phantom, the main character, is actually him just shooting the metaverse version of the main character.
Yup.
And I guess the real main character was just kept in hiding for
Yes.
however long.
Exactly. And then Futaba, she calls her cell phone and pretty much tells her the plan. And as they come, and so everyone meets at the Cafe LeBlanc, and the entire team is there. Sei brings the protagonist there safely, and of course, Sei and Sojiro at this point are extremely confused what the hell's going on. And from there, they explain how they figured out Akechi was a traitor and how he was
because
bad.
of pancakes.
Because of pancakes. Oh, God. I love how in all of the ending discussions or twist discussions of the game, they're just like pancakes.
IHOP was Akechi's doom.
It really was. Did you think that was it? Did you expect that was how how he got caught?
No, I didn't realize it at the time.
I didn't realize it at the time either. I was curious if you realized it at the time. Yeah, so pretty much how he gets caught is the first time they meet at the newscast, Morgana is talking about pancakes And Akechi, the first time he meets them, responds to that comment. And you can only hear Morgana if you were in the metaverse, which means he had previously been there.
Yep. Because you're so used to Morgana talking that you don't realize that no one else should be.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. Now that Sei and Sojiro know the plan, and they're all like they're like the only adults who know what the hell's going on, but they like agree and they believe what's happening. Now it's kind of like this is where the plan comes together, and we finally reach the end. We almost reached the end of the Phantom Thieves, meaning that the Phantom Thieves meaning that we almost reached the end of the story.
At this point, we realize that the politician Shido has been behind pretty much everything up to this point. They just tied everything together. Some of it was a little blurry, but yeah, you realize that Shido's trying to become Prime Minister of Japan and has been using the metaverse to his advantage.
Yeah,
getting rid of his competitors.
And Palace 7. This is the first time the protagonist realizes that this is the same person who screwed him over from the beginning. And now we're trying to get down to business.
Yeah. I didn't expect that yacht or a cruise ship.
Oh yeah, that was really random. So, you know those scenes where we're right next to the government building and they're trying to figure out code words to enact it? Mm-hmm. When cruise ship all of a sudden comes and it actually activates the metaverse, that was so random to me.
I know. I love how they just spend like days just like shouting out random nouns and hoping it triggers.
I know. Yeah, it was exciting though. Just like at this point, like there's just like a lot of adrenaline, as you know that you're really close to finishing the game.
Yeah, this was another long dungeon.
Oh yeah, this was really long.
And then you also had the fact that you had 2 boss fights.
Oh, I know.
Like I knew we were gonna fight Akechi at some point, but I was expecting a save point.
Oh, that's actually a good point. I did beat Akechi, but I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, you thought you were just running to get to the next save point, and then all of a sudden he pops up like, oh crap.
I know.
and this is like for me, like I was playing late at night, and like I thought, okay, good, I'm gonna take a break. I'll get back to this tomorrow, and then all of a sudden Akechi pops up, like shit, I'm gonna spend another hour playing this game more now. And that's another night I stayed up late.
Oh no. Yeah, a lot of this game was like, oh, I'm gonna go sleep now, and then plot advancement, like, nope, I'm gonna stay here for like another 2 hours.
Yeah.
I think one of the few things that also disappointed me when Akechi is actually the traitor is Akechi is your teammate during Sei's palace, and he has an almighty power that like easily wipes out a lot of the enemy's health. And I use that a lot when I was playing with Akechi.
No, yeah.
And then
I was disappointed I didn't get access to his curse and bless skills anymore.
Exactly. Oh, that really annoyed me. What happens when you encounter Akechi on Shido's boat is you find out he is the illegitimate son of Shido. Akechi's mom commits suicide, correct? Akechi's mom.
Yes,
yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, Akechi's mom commits suicide. So Shido actually puts a lot of the blame of that onto Akechi. And that's why Akechi is basically like a bitch to Shido in all.
He's trying to get like a sense of approval from Shido.
Exactly.
The other thing you learn about Akechi is he's the reason why people have been going crazy.
Yes.
So like I think I mentioned earlier, like there was a train conductor that went insane and crashed his car, or crashed the train, and that was. Akechi had the unique power to drive people insane.
Yes.
In short.
Pretty much.
Not just kill their shadow, but actually make them insane.
Yes.
And ultimately, his father didn't really care either.
Exactly. He's blocking you from meeting Shido. and he ends up he basically sacrifices himself so that you can defeat Shido after Akechi realizes like there's not much he could do. Shido's cognition of
Akechi comes in,
in,
and they basically kill each other.
I know.
Which is weird. I always wondered like what happened to Akechi, like if he died in Shido's cognition, where does his body wind up? They never really brought that.
They didn't.
They never really mentioned that.
So I just realized this. So if Akechi jumps into the metaverse and he dies there, do you think he actually is dead in the metaverse, meaning that he's disappeared completely from Earth?
That's what exactly. That's what I was kind of confused on. Like, does he reappear in the real world after the palace went down? That's a detail that's kind of important, but not really.
Yeah.
It's more lore than anything.
Yeah. So we basically never know what happens to Akechi.
Well, even before that too.
Yeah.
But what happened after you beat Cheeto is pretty crazy too, because Cheeto's so desperate that he takes a pill that puts him in a state of death for a temporary death, isn't it?
Yes, temporary death.
He just chugs that pill like it's nothing. He didn't even get done explaining everything, and he just takes it.
I know. With the whole situation, though, so Shido does admit what happened, and everything goes down, but it's not the end of the story. And a lot of the people, of course, a lot of the people have turned against the Phantom Thieves, and they don't know that they were actually responsible for Shido's change of heart.
Yeah, they're still unknowns.
Exactly.
They haven't complete.
Yeah.
What you call it? They still believe in him.
Yes.
In some ways too.
Yeah.
That public sentiment, that public support of Shido is actually it's a whole nother palace of its own.
Yes.
And that's what Mementos is.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you haven't been doing Mementos, you get to go through all of it before you actually proceed through the rest of the story.
Yep, basically.
Because the last dungeon is basically the depths of Mementos.
Yep. And
before we go to that though, what did you think about the Ryuji scene when the ship was going down?
Hold on, I'm trying to. Can you refresh me exact? I'm trying to.
I guess what I'm asking is, did you fall for it?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was like, this guy's having plot armor. He's gonna come back at some.
Oh yeah.
It's just a matter of time.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I did not fall for it.
Although I did like the little nod when Sojiro came back.
Yeah.
When Futama's all like, "You just did the same thing Yuji did," or something.
I know.
Something like that.
Basically.
Because I like that, just because that's exactly what I was thinking at that moment.
Mm-hmm. You see, after the fake out with the protagonist, when something happened, I was like, oh god, you're not fooling me anymore.
This party's staying intact till the end.
Exactly. Yeah, Jesus. Especially because the game is not over. Don't even start with me.
So the last plot twist is that the Velvet Room attendants are a set of twins, and you actually realize that these twins are actually supposed to be one person. So you fuse them together to become their original form. You also immediately realize that Igor is not actually Igor. It's actually some god deity.
Yeah.
That's basically the equivalent of Inazami of Persona 4.
Yeah. It's basically a god deity that is he's playing everyone. And and I say playing everyone as playing the entire world. So with the protagonist, he enacts all of this so that the protagonist basically decides the fate of the entire world.
Oh yeah, there was a bet between Igor and the Yaldabaoth or something.
Yeah, exactly. And what do you?
Yeah. I remember now.
So Igor is good, but the Igor that you know is not the real Igor.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Ego with a question mark.
Igor with a question mark. So what happens is Igor with a question mark, he has this power over the protagonist, and he basically played all of these events so that the protagonist can decide whether to make a deal with him to restore the world
Or to fight him.
or to fight him. Now, this determines the true ending and the good ending.
Yeah. You don't actually solve any of the problems if you just
Exactly.
reset the world. I mean, granted, I read on a guide to basically to get the true ending, don't make a deal with Igor.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew what to do.
So, I didn't read the guide, but I refused because the twins, they basically told me, like, be careful and not to do it. Or, like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, they actually make the commentary like, oh, don't you do it. So, yeah,
I see.
that's why I knew not to do it. So what actually happens in the final leg is it reveals how Morgana came to life.
Yes.
And
So she wasn't actually a shadow. I thought she was going to be a shadow.
Yeah. So what I actually thought was Morgana was started off as a human. Either way, it's none of those things.
Yeah.
So
It's like supposed to be the last strand of human hope or something.
yeah, exactly. The last strand of human hope created by the real Igor. Igor exclamation point. At this point, Tokyo is like completely like depressed and sad and just like hell.
It gets fused with it gets fused with mementos, doesn't it?
Yes, this is the final boss that you have to defeat. Similar to the gas station guy, because what the fuck? And
yeah, I thought this was done better.
Yeah. Oh, this was
definitely
this was definitely done better. Because why the fuck is a gas station person the final boss battle that just had no relevance to you the entire way?
Yeah.
And what I always like about the ending is everything comes together of like all the confidants you ever became friends with help you out with Yaldabaoth.
Yeah, it's the cliche spirit bomb scene.
Mm-hmm. So that boss took me a while, but it was definitely exciting. I really liked the music that came with it.
Yeah, I liked how you would have to. It was basically a bunch of managing how you take out the gun, like all his arms and stuff, because they would keep reviving, and so you had to focus on, okay, am I gonna get rid of his extra attacks, or am I actually gonna focus on the body?
Yeah, this wasn't my favorite boss battle, but this was one of them of the entire game. This was a lot of fun. It felt like a proper end to the game, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what did you think about that last scene where they're all like going off in the van?
Oh, you're talking about like the final scene.
Or well, am I jumping too much?
No. I'm just clarifying. Like,
yeah,
I'm clarifying that we're actually talking about the end now of the true ending. Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, this is the true ending. If you got to this by the time. Oh my god, that was a big firework.
Yep.
Going out of this with a bang. Anyway, what I liked about this ending was I didn't feel bad when we wrap everything up and the protagonist has to go home because he turned himself in. Because with this, it felt like there was closure in a sense that they were willing to drive him back, meaning it didn't feel like he was far away. I liked this ending a lot simply on the fact that I didn't feel as bad as we ended the game. But what I liked about Persona 4's ending, which I probably like more than this, is that I felt more of a sense of family with Persona 4 than I did with Persona 5. Like, Persona 5 felt like a team. And Persona 4 felt like a family. Does that make sense? Kind of.
Yeah, I can see that because
yeah,
I think I agree that the squad of 4 seemed closer than 5.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of liked Persona 4's ending a bit better because I like this. I like that it had a better sense of closure. Yeah, it was a bit sadder, but
I liked it a lot.
I felt like it had more closure.
It did.
Yeah.
I did like this ending though. I thought it was fine, but it gives different feelings.
Yeah. Although I will say this, the the open-endedness of Persona 5's ending, because you're not exactly sure what they're gonna be doing.
Yeah.
I feel it leaves it open up for whatever spin-off they're gonna try
Oh,
to
I know,
milk
right?
Persona 5.
'Cause-
Dancing all road trip, or like some
oh yeah, they're totally.
P5 arena. I don't know what they're gonna do, but
Yeah.
somehow they will milk this.
Oh,
and
definitely.
At least it's open. How long was your playthrough?
Okay. So my playthrough came out to, I think, 95 hours. I know a lot of people clocked over 100, and I can see how you clocked over 100. I don't know, like, I didn't farm as much.
Yeah, I didn't take any unnecessary trips to Mementos just to level up.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I clocked in probably just under 100.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, so yeah, we're pretty close. Yeah, it's a long game.
It is a long game. Like I
I
said,
think I did like all but 2 of the side quests,
Mm.
and yeah, and I think I mentioned before I was able to max out all the
Yeah.
confidants in a single run, but that was mostly because I made use of the guide
yeah.
that told. I used the guide to tell me what answers to choose.
Oh yeah,
I know there's guides out there that tell you exactly what to do on a certain day.
yeah.
I
Oh
I
god.
didn't do that.
Oh yeah,
that would have been
that's not
too
fun.
much, and
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
That's way too much. On your playthrough, did you actually get did you get the correct ending the first time, or did you have to go back a week when you or like did you have to go back to a save point when you realized you didn't get the correct ending, or
I basically read a post saying, don't snitch and don't do it before.
Dude,
So like, okay.
dude, I got really lucky when you get to the interrogation and you start getting grilled about whether to snitch or not. I didn't look up.
Oh.
I didn't look up a guide. The whole time when I was playing that was just like a hot mess, and
Oh yeah.
I was really
'Cause
like,
our scene gives you a really vague hint.
yeah, and because it gives you that warning before the interrogation, you should save this game because there's going to be a significant plot twist. And I was like, oh shit, oh my god, like I don't
Yeah.
know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm thankful I didn't snitch though. Snitch.
Yeah. I mean, I looked up the bad ending. It's basically it just ends once you get shot.
Oh god. Okay. Well,
Yeah. There's no. I haven't looked up the normal ending yet.
I see. I'm gonna YouTube all of this after our conversation. Overall, what did you think about the game?
Story wise or
I guess like the whole shebang.
okay.
Like
Yeah. I just like how they evolved the series.
yeah.
Because there's been like you look at Final Fantasy and like 'cause remember I played Final Fantasy 15 right after I finished Persona 5.
Mm-hmm.
So you see how Final Fantasy has changed.
Yes.
But that's the thing. Final Fantasy changed, but it hasn't evolved. Persona 5, the Tales series, even the Pokemon series, they've all evolved.
That's a really great way of summing this up, saying how it's evolved versus changed.
Everything from quality of life changes. The pace of battles just seemed a lot faster.
Oh, definitely. Like, battles seemed faster. Also, like, negotiating whether you actually want to defeat the enemy or just get their persona or money or item was a
really
nice touch.
And it pays homage to Persona 1 and 2.
I see.
Because that was a thing in Persona 1 and 2. At least with Persona 5, I felt like the negotiation system was simpler. Or at least better explained.
Yeah.
Or maybe I just didn't do enough research into how Persona 2 negotiation worked.
I see. It, like I said, there is a bit of a learning curve in Palace 1. So, but if you can get through Palace 1 and make sense of everything, this is a really nice game.
But yeah, and that's true for any Persona game. I think that just the first, at least for 3, 4, and 5, it's always the first dungeon that's the hardest, just because the tutorial's long.
Yeah.
You gotta set up the story.
Pretty much.
And it's a slow going pace because you just don't have all your spells and all your skills, all the elements really.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's not once till you get more of the social links to help boost your persona fusing that it gets a lot easier. It gets easier to manage. Um, like for example, I I never got very far in Persona 3 had an epilogue chapter, had an epilogue game called The Answer, and in that game you had no social links,
Oh, I see.
meaning that when you fuse, you're stuck at you don't get any boost,
Yeah.
and became very clear that this was going to be a very grindy game, and I never made it past the first dungeon.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just going to look up the cutscenes on YouTube, and
Oh, yeah. Also, what's nice when you simplify the battle system, you can focus on other aspects of the game, which I like.
I like the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
I like how they made the dungeons actual dungeons now, like with actual puzzles and stuff, not just because even Persona 4 it was randomly generated, so this was nice.
Yeah, there was a challenge, and I enjoyed it a lot. Man, I've been playing a lot of good games. This is one of the best games that I think I've played in a really long time.
Mhm.
And one of the best games that I've played this year.
Yeah, like if I were to replay a Persona game, it would be this. It would be 5.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think I could. Granted, the other thing too is I only played the vanilla version of 4,
Mm,
whereas you played Golden.
yeah.
So there is a difference in that because there were a lot of quality of life changes in Golden itself.
Ah, I see. Yeah, I knew there were a lot of quality of life changes. I didn't realize they were that significant.
Yeah, like being in Persona 4, the vanilla version, you couldn't control what skills were being transferred when you fuse.
For sure.
So that was a really nice change.
Yeah.
Oh, I know you didn't max every one of them, but what was your favorite social link?
Of your main squad, I think I liked Makoto's social link the most.
Mm.
I think it was kind of exciting how you went to Shibuya and there, you were just like spying on like a mafia boss dating one of the high schoolers. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
And
I guess my only. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, and I liked Hifumi, the checkers girl. What is it actually called? Shogi, actually, right?
Shoujo?
Yeah,
Shogi, yeah.
Shogi. Yeah, I liked hers, and I liked Takemi, the crooked doctor.
The doctor. Okay.
Yeah, those are probably my favorite.
Yeah, I think I like Sojiro's the best.
Sojiro's is nice. Sojiro's is sweet because
Yeah, just because you get to learn more about him.
Yeah.
His character really evolves because he goes from like this jerk to someone that really cares about you. It basically becomes a real father figure to you and Futaba.
Yeah. Especially what I liked is it went with the storyline too, because obviously when you learn about Futaba, it elevates the confidant.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you couldn't actually advance it until that point in the story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those.
So yeah, I liked his the best.
Yeah.
The thing with Makoto's, even though I did choose her as the romantic interest.
Oh, I chose her too as a romantic. Sorry, I chose her too.
The actual social link didn't actually focus on her.
Yeah.
That was my only problem.
Although I feel like part of the reason is because her relationship with Sei is the main storyline. So that's probably why they didn't focus on her a lot. But yeah.
I mean I can see that too.
Yeah. But I agree. They didn't focus on her a lot. Have a relationship with basically everyone, including your teacher. So
have you seen the scene?
No, I'm scared. I don't know if I want to.
No. Have you seen the scene where if you were like to romance more than one person?
Oh no, actually.
Yeah.
I have.
There's a scene, if you romance more than one person,
Uh-huh.
they will confront you the day after Valentine's Day.
Really?
Yeah, you should check it out.
Okay,
it's really funny if like you romance everybody and they all come up.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna Google it. So if they confront you, did they break up with you after Valentine's? I'm just curious.
No, because I mean, remember at this point in the game, it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Basically, somehow Sojiro makes things fine.
Oh,
because he's a pimp like that.
Oh my god. Okay, I definitely have to watch this now, especially if it's freaking Sojiro solving the issue. That's so random.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
But yeah, they literally all just come into LeBlanc and like confront him all at the same time. It's really bad, especially if like Because like especially if you find like an ending in which like a scene in which he romanced every single one of them.
Yeah. Oh my god. That's really
So it's like
that's pretty funny actually.
mm,
Wow. Okay, there's a lot of things I need to YouTube after this. Is there an animation for this
Yeah.
yet, by the way? Like an anime?
no, I don't think so.
Okay. I can't wait for the anime.
Yeah, I bet there will be. They have to.
I think the reason why I really like the anime is because Yu has a voice in Persona 4 and
Yeah.
it's just a lot of fun. And so like that's the main reason. I just want to hear protagonist speak and I want to know what his real name
Although
is.
I will. I think it's Akira.
Oh, really? When did they reveal that? Or like,
I don't remember, but I do remember reading somewhere that Akira is supposed to be like the canon name of the protagonist.
oh, okay, this is good to know.
But yeah, I did notice that in this game, the protagonist had more voice clips.
I know, which is cool. I really enjoyed that a lot. I think it's fun, or like he had more interaction with the camera.
Yes, exactly.
But by the way, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. I really wanted to talk about Persona 5, but my coworker who I usually do podcasts with, he's not playing Persona 5, at least not yet. So, you know, you're the only person I actually know who finished the game. So,
I see.
yeah. So, thank you so much for joining this.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I hope you had fun. Normally I would say you should definitely play this game, but if you're listening to this podcast, that means you already played the game.
Yeah.
or
or you were thoroughly spoiled on everything by now.
I know.
There's no point to play this game.
I know, basically. But
Or at least for story.
Yeah.
The gameplay itself is actually really fun, even
Exactly.
though it is like a turn-based RPG.
exactly. Even if you did listen to this and you have not played the game, you should still play it. It's a lot of fun, and the gameplay and just storyline is very immersing. Great. This is definitely one of the best games of 2017 for sure.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
It's late, but thank you so much for joining again, Kevin. This ends our second spoiler cast and the 13th episode of Downtime Podcast. Thank you and have a good night.
See ya.
Just imagine you're